Okay, we're live. All
We're
right,
live.
people, we are back. I know it's been a bit, probably
Yep.
a couple years, but we are
Yeah,
back.
it's been 2022. It's okay. Of course, you guys know me. It's my channel. But most of you guys probably don't know
It's
my
me, Grin.
compatriot here. Yeah.
Yeah, it's me, Grin. Me and Hart read through the last batch of Hunter chapters, last 10 chapters. Oh my God, were they peak?
hmm
But, however, we are making a series of videos to be released probably once a week,
We'll try like once every week. Yeah, chapter by
once
chapter.
every week, maybe a little bit longer, to give our feedback on thoughts so that we can have hype
Yeah.
leading up to the days to when the next batch, 411 to 420, is
Yeah.
released. And
Yeah.
also to keep you guys company as you guys see our discussions and our thoughts for every chapter in the last batch. And
Depends.
you get to see what our predictions were, our bingo sheet predictions were for the last
hmm
batch. And once we get through once we get through our review of like the last batch, we will be making another new bingo sheet prediction for this upcoming batch
Yep.
of
Yep.
chapters.
Pretty much. Yeah. Grin,
Yeah.
you want to tell them about your thoughts overall about the stretch that we had, or you want to keep that for like much later?
We will get to that. We'll get to that as we get through the chapters. But
Yeah.
I was not ready. That being said, there's some wild shit I threw out in our bingo sheet,
Yeah.
which I'm
Yeah.
surprised came like actually ended up coming out in the last chapter. That was crazy. I think we marked like 5, maybe 6, maybe more. Like
We've done a lot, yeah. Like
we got a lot of predictions out
maybe
there.
more than 7, I believe. Except, of course, we didn't get a bingo, but that's a damn lot because a lot of them were like shots in the dark.
Yeah, there was a hella shots in the dark. Like I honestly cannot believe how many we actually got because
Like, yeah,
if you even get a
like,
single prediction of Togashi's right, like that's legendary. But to get
yeah,
7 or 8, bro,
yeah, or
that
more.
last batch was like S tier. I thought what was it? Volume 29, 30, 31? The last
Volume 37.
37, the previous batch.
No. So my favorite batch before this was Volume 37. That's the 381 to 390 stretch. The previous batch was Volume 38, which is 391 to 400. Yeah,
that was my favorite stretch, purely because
yeah.
of Fandom
And of
2
course,
flashback.
if,
But
if,
yeah,
if you guys remember who Grin is, massive Crollo fanboy.
yeah.
So of course, there's the
My
fan of flashback bias there.
yep. Crollo bias. I'm calling that out right now. Full Crollo bias. And out of the princes,
And we had the quote unquote fake Hisoka.
yep.
394 was a phenomenal chapter. That was the Seti chapter. That chapter did so much generational like legwork for Seti as a character.
We in that same batch of chapters, we also got lore on that entire like private army that Serenich has, who are like friends or whatever, but like they're like a separate.
They were
village
established
there.
in 384.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, man,
and we were told all the way back in 350 that the top 5 that the first 5 princes all have their own private armies, and we actually got to see, Setis, and they're pretty important in terms of like his character and what he was like in the past.
Out of the princes, however, out of the main princes, however, my favorite, my goat, is one that the majority of the community is sleeping on and will continue to sleep on until something crazy happens, and then I guarantee you people are gonna switch up. It's Zhang Li. I know everybody's sleeping on him. I'm calling you all you folks out right now. You're gonna sleep on him, and when he does some epic shit, you're gonna be right in his dick. Like, stop, stop. Just stop. You fake fan.
Bro, you're funny as hell, man. Dude, they've been doing that with Hulkenberg, bro. I was gassing up this man Hulkenberg for years. I was gassing him up back in 2018. People called me a madman for even suggesting that this guy was even in the top 3 or even top 5. They don't even think he was top 10 worthy. They just said, oh, he's got potential. What happened when 403 and 404 dropped? The meat guzzling was unreal. everyone and their mother started repping Hulkenberg like he was their boy. Like they believed in him and they were like there with him in the trenches back on the. Only after that, this man got the Michael Jordan Jeffrey 1991 trophy. You know, I used to have dreams of this.
I knew Zhang Li was a GOAT because, and it's purely because of the fact that while we got a little bit of all the princes prior to, the most recent batch, this man Togashi has been putting this man Zhang Li in his back pocket. Even in the last batch, we got more about Zhang Li and the coins and all that stuff, which we'll get to when we get through the chapters. But we still don't know what his deal is, and he's the only one that's does, as far as we are concerned, doesn't actually have an ability, and is just kind of doing his own thing. So it's kind of surprising.
He's also probably one of the smartest characters in the whole series, and the whole series has one of the craziest feats that we got in that last chapter, where it's unreal how he does it, and he's doing this all without Nen.
Mm-hmm.
We have not seen that sort of movement before. These princes are crazy, man.
And remember, Tubapa literally said he's one of the three sins, or one of the three most deadliest princes on the ship. Let's not forget that. Even what Kurapika in the last batch when we saw him had the conversation, and he was like, "Hey, yo, this man's actually cooking. He might be dangerous, but I shouldn't overplay my hand. Let me kind of calm down." I don't know.
Basically, was blazing him with internal dialogue, but basically talking about as him being the third prince, he's shrewd with mental warfare and democracy, that sort of thing.
He's definitely
he just knows how to talk and play with people.
Zhang Li is definitely one of those characters who's kind of appears to be an enigma. You don't really know if he's kind of on kind of in it to just be a menace to society, kind of like Serenich or Benjamin or the others, or if he's trying to be, trying to help Kurapika genuinely. He could really go either way. That being said, he is very interesting because we don't get to see much of him. It's more of his actions that he takes that's interesting to me as a character. There's also more about his Nen Beast, which I want to get into when we actually get through the chapters. But he is. There's
a lot to talk about when it comes to this batch.
He's my favorite out of the princes. I do like Hockenberg, goated, man's goated. And then I also like Serenich, but I mean, who doesn't like Serenich?
That's
Serenich, yeah.
Grin, you don't know this, but I recently made a 5-hour video, and it was basically just talking about SETI, the philosophical themes, the symbolism, dynamics, parallels, and I talked about Cocking and its real world implications with UK and the monarchy system, divine right of kings, mandate of heaven, and how it all builds up into who SETI is in the environment, and how I basically nicknamed him the chosen one. Of course, people think that he's just making a nickname, an agenda title. No, he's legitimately the chosen one. Simply for the religious themes that he's in how I perceive the character, he's meant to be the savior of Cocking. Because Cocking is in itself is somewhat portrayed as the Holy Land, and it fell into absolute depravity, which we learn more about in this batch. We learned so much more about Cocking in general. We knew it was pretty dirty and messed up and shady with the stuff that we learned about the caste system back in 389.
Well, that being said, we will. We are gonna just do. We're gonna give our thoughts on photo 1 and then 400 because we never actually got through that, and then we'll transition to photo 1 and give our thoughts once we're do 401. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, because we're gonna talk about 400 first, since it practically just transitions into that chapter, and it's necessary. because so much of that is built up in this chapter is important in in the next batch.
So the photo one
it's
starts.
Interesting because we go back in time, and we aren't aware of this until chapter 404, where we go back to the very first few scenes with the Phantom Troop.
Yeah, photo 400 basically starts with Finks and Phaeton.
Yeah, after they dispersed and separated from Hinrig and Nobunaga. Nobunaga and Hinrig went to the Haley base to kind of make their assault. Of course, it failed because of Yoko Tani's ability, but they succeeded in leaving the transmitter. And now Finks and Phaeton now have to pretty much figure out where the Haley base is. They speculate it's either in Tier 2 or...
Mm-hmm.
Yep. They pretty much talk about that in this first page. And then Nobunaga shows up.
Yep.
They talk for a bit. And he speculates that, it makes no sense if Morena is in Tier 2 because of the rules about...
Yeah, Nobunaga suspected something's up because he doesn't trust the situation.
Yeah, and this goes back to the information that they learned in chapter 384 about the rule, the unspoken rules of the mafia leaders, where they have to be far away from the crimes, and they have to be in the higher tiers. But this makes no sense to him because if Morena's in Tier 2, then what's going on?
Yep.
He tells them what happened. They go down slightly, and then now they learn that Haley is in Tier 2. And they also talked about if she is in Tier 2, then they can use the Cha'ar hideout, the Cha'ar door that we do eventually get to see in 405. And this was set up all the way back in chapter 370, 378, 379. Actually, no, 378 was when Morena was introduced with the Haley. The Phantom Troop members met the Mafia formally in chapter 378.
I like how Nobunaga's kind of giving Finks and Phaeton the heads up of let's not kind of underestimate them, because he says we don't know how many Haley there are, and their abilities were more developed than we expected.
If you remember, I was calling these guys bums, but now it's with how they are right now in this batch, bro, they feel even more like a threat. And spoilers, these three would end up Nobunaga would end up dispersing, and their numbers are already thinning and thinning.
Yep.
Which only increases the risk. Granted, we are told that Nobunaga fights.
Mm-hmm. It does look like Nobunaga's given them told them that they should probably get Franklin while they can.
Yeah.
But for those of you keeping track, you probably know that, at least for me, Franklin and Shizuka...
Franklin's currently in, the lower tiers. He's very, far away from any of the conflicts.
Franklin's one of the people I have on my death flag list for the spiders, for the predictions.
Yeah. We believe that Shizuka's going to die according to the fortunes.
And
Bono's going to die. Even though we never got Bono's fortune, but because of what we know in 405, the dude's going to die. There's no way he's living. And people talk about how, the fortunes aren't going to come into fruition because they're far away. If you remember, people forget about this detail. Pakunoda's fortune happened despite it being weeks before it happened. So, from what we understand about the fortunes, is that if fate just works in mysterious ways.
Well,
that's all we can say.
My own personal headcanon is that if the natural situation, if the situation and timing is perfect for the predictions to come true, then it probably will.
Despite it being way ahead of time. In reality, any of these guys are in danger. Except potentially Nobunaga and Crollo, because the fortunes protect them. But considering the fact that they're not in their time, they're in October when these fortunes are supposed to happen, or September.
The other thing is,
they're in danger.
I know a large group of people in the audience think the fortunes either haven't happened or
Yeah.
Uh,
They think they're not absolute, but they are absolute.
or they will never happen because they're not absolute.
Yeah.
I still think that the fortunes are still absolute, and it would
Mhm.
be wasteful writing if Togashi didn't fulfill on them.
Yeah.
It would also be a huge plot hole. So no.
Yeah. And the fact is, Pakunoda's fortune happened, and she died way ahead of schedule. So we know, like, so Togashi pretty much gave us, like, okay, pretty much gave us the idea that, okay, these things can happen much earlier if, like, the stars align in the correct way. And the stars are starting to align because Shizuku's on her own, Bono's on his own, like, Crollo's on his own. These guys are separating. But anyway, we'll continue. They talk about getting Franklin. Yeah,
they're trying
we
to find
eventually
Hisoka as
see
well.
them go to that door. Yeah, they're trying, like, they're doing this while they're basically just killing time. And of course, they're doing this. The whole reason why they're even obsessed, they're even interacting with the mafia, is because they're trying to parlay with the mafia in order to gain information on Hisoka. Of course, the mafia are trying to beat them to Hisoka, which we of course we see in chapter 393. Of course, that's a fake Hisoka. And nope, Crollo, man, that guy.
Okay.
And so they needed. So basically, they're trying to snuff out Morena in order to stop the Haley War, because once the Mafia War starts, they can't engage with any information. So that's what they're. So that's pretty much the goal here. Of course, now Nobunaga has legitimate investment in the mission.
Yep.
And that's because of personal details, because of what we learned with Morena in 408, and what we learned in the Phantom True flashback. And in this panel, we get this announcement that we've been left off on for years. And of course, we know at the end of 404 that this is related to Hulkenberg, my goat, dying, or his body dying.
Yep.
And this is where we just like go back to tier 1 with the princes. What we don't know is that what happened here in this batch with the Mafia subplot and the Phantom Troop was further ahead in time, and then we went back in time once we went back to tier 1. And then this is basically us going back in time to see what happened, and then leading up until 404 where things transected and we go back to the Mafia and Phantom Troop subplots.
Yeah, throughout this entire arc, we've had a lot of like back and forth dialogue with time. I think that's the only way Togashi can like go in detail of explaining every single individual faction and what they're doing.
Phenomenal.
Because it's quite difficult. It's quite difficult to do it in a linear fashion, specifically because there's so many factions moving around everywhere. There's the only way you could do that in a story would be to go back and forth. So I honestly think that's really, really good.
Yeah, like it's phenomenal storytelling. It's crazy how he does it. He's doing it again in the end of this batch that we do get, where we don't know what happens in between that time frame and Thursday, or like where Hulkenberg's making his moves. But we'll get to that eventually.
Some of these people, I need to see more, like Anzo, Tyson's little brother.
They're role playing as these guys, yeah.
Yeah, these guys came from a different planet. Prince from the planet Mooney and her nephew. Like that's what like. We have aliens. What?
Yeah, he's probably just joking. Like
I'm pretty sure he's joking.
These guys are just role playing, like on Tyson's behalf.
Yeah.
No.
Yuga, artist when I say legendary tutor, I can see some of that's pretty good.
Yeah. This isn't anything too important. It's just fun levity.
Yep.
Now we get more Giuliano. We're seeing them like, having fun interacting. We get Izunabe's thoughts about Giuliano and how he doesn't seem any different despite reading the book. And then we get really interesting Tyson introspection about how she handed out the books to the lower princes and their mothers, and how she doesn't have any influence, and how she's kind of in an iffy position in the throne. And I don't think you know this, Grin, but there's this theory that Tyson is actually a transgender character. So Tyson is born male,
Mm-hmm.
transition to female.
Mm-hmm.
But because Tyson's a guy and is also a homosexual,
Mm-hmm.
hence why she surrounds herself with women. Can't really, of course, you naturally can't give birth. And Catrano, her mother, the fourth queen, feels ashamed because her child ended up like this. And there was also like in I think chapter 3, somewhere in the volume 35 chapters,
Mm-hmm.
where there's even like a sexual expansion joke, but it's lost in translation in the English, but it's in the Japanese.
I mean, that could be a thing, but I think I just wait for what Togashi wants to cook with Tyson's character to see more,
Yeah,
because that'll
Tyson's
probably
very
clear
interesting.
up. They'll probably
Very slept
added,
on.
like probably cleared up a few like thoughts about our perspective on their
Mhm.
like on the whole
Yeah,
situation.
it's because people used to write off Tyson, calling her annoying, trashing on the character. She's one of the more likable princes simply for the fact that she's not a complete scumbag. You know, one of the princes with like genuine morals and compassion. She's very easy to like, and it's interesting because he's been slowly setting up the character, and he hasn't done anything with her yet. But we know we're getting something eventually. Like all this stuff has to pay off with
Oh
like her
yeah.
ability.
Now we get one of the better ones, the Kacha Fugetsu stuff. Oh yeah, this one's great. The mother of Fugetsu. Yeah,
Yes, Seiko.
Seiko. Yeah, talking
Yeah,
to the militia and the
yeah.
bodyguards and stuff.
We
Yeah.
get to see the fallout with Kacho dying, and like now Fugetsu's on her own, and we go to the Justice Bureau, and of course we learn that she's always been a scumbag. She never really cares about her. She sees her kids as like tools, really,
Mm-hmm.
and probably has like genuine like investment in wanting her kids, wanting one of her either of her kids to win the. And then we go to the Justice Bureau with Kaiser. He becomes an important character. You
Now
know.
that he's sweating, trying to figure it
Yep.
out.
And then we see like Ghost Koch, Nenbi's Kacho, which we don't know what was going to happen with her character, where she's going to lead up to. And then
Kaiser comes up with a plan.
summarize all of this. Yeah, we don't know this. We don't know what Kaiser's deal is. We don't know if he knows Nen or not. We don't know if he's being manipulated. We don't know if he's manipulating himself. We don't know his agenda. We don't know if he's allied with a queen. We know nothing.
We know.
This
We
guy's a
know.
complete enigma even now.
We do know that he's at least willing to work with Melody for whatever reason. So that's there. So like, if he's willing to work with Melody, there's at least a good chance that like, if the two of them were kind of working together, despite his agenda, he's he's at least maybe willing to listen to her part of certain scenarios. But she has to be careful because she's also aware that she can't really trust this man because she doesn't know anything about him.
Yeah. And they're pretty much forming a plan, trying to understand like what's going on. And of course, we learn about later on in this chapter. We learn about Fugetsu's state. You know how she's being played with spirits, and they're trying to understand which prince did this. And they go through the other. They cycle through the princes. They cycle through them, and she's unable to find who it is. In the later chapter, they figure out that it's Lazarus, or they narrow it down to it being him.
Yeah, this is where they're coming up with a plan to like do the whole visitation to each of the princes.
Yeah, and Kaiser suggesting assassination. That's how we know that this guy's a demon. And then he reveals that the reason why he's doing this is because he's in love with Melody. Of course, we don't even know. Very dubious, because this guy's extremely calm. We don't know how. We don't. He's likely just lying. He's manipulating himself.
Yeah, we know that Melody's was caught off guard because his rhythm was basically just like stable, a little too stable.
Yeah.
So she doesn't trust it.
And Kaiser's an interesting character. This is a character who showed up like once or twice throughout. He showed up first time in the Volume 36 stretch a few times.
I
He was
really want
never
to know what
name
the
dropped.
Justice Bureau's whole
400.
deal is. I want to know what the
Yeah.
Justice Bureau's whole deal is and why,
Yeah.
why did Kaiser do whatever he's doing? And is he trying to infiltrate the princess? Is he
'Cause,
trying to what are they gonna do now?
Because supposedly Kakin is quote unquote a parliamentary democracy, but in reality, that's just a veil that they're putting up for the rest of the world. And really, things are still the same. They're still shady. They're still evil. They're still depraved. We can assume that the Independent Justice Bureau, that they're trying to they're trying to rock the boat, make their own moves, and using this content and the chaos as an opportunity to try and slip the rug under the Kakin dynasty and just change things forever. Maybe they're trying to get power for themselves, because Kaiser is named after the emperor, aka Caesar. And of course, if you remember what happened to Caesar, he took power and then he was assassinated.
There's so many references in this arc, Togashi's taken from basically every piece of lore in history. Oh my god, it's absurd with the references.
It's crazy how great this character became in a few chapters, and this is an important moment, probably the most important moment in the chapter.
Yeah, I like panel here. Justice Bureau is the most neutral institution here, but one special martial law is declared. It will instantly turn to dictator space. The military temporarily taking control of the power of the world's government in case of a national emergency. It's almost like they knew it was gonna kick into effect.
Yeah.
And had to come up with contingencies.
Saw it coming a mile away.
Yeah.
And then ahead of time, he gave Steiner, whose name drops in chapter 389, and now Steiner's become even more impressed, more relevant in the story. And this is a very beginning of this arc, back in volume 33, aka the 2014 chapters, the 2014-2015 chapters. And Steiner and Kaiser gave him this button, and he says, if the First Men pulls up or the Royal Army pulls up, just press this button. It's our only hope. And this is basically weaving into what happens into 410. And now this button, we don't know what it does. It's the most important piece of the most important resistance they have at this moment.
Whether the button is going to help ease up the martial law rules, or it's going to let the Justice Bureau kind of roam around while martial law is being declared on some sort of independent independent investigation. We have no idea what the button is specifically capable of, but once we do, it'll probably give us additional context on the situation on the ship, as well as basically across.
The foreshadowing is so goated, man. The build up and the setup, man. And then we follow Kacho. She's trying to see what happened to Fugetsu. Fugetsu, now that she's no longer tethered to Kacho, because Fugetsu's ability was a two-way ability.
Open doors.
Fugetsu is able to make the first door, and then Kacho controls the return trip. Yeah. But now that Kacho's out at the table, Fugetsu is able to use it unlimited. Yeah. And it's having
infinite doors.
Yeah, just infinite doors. And they speculate. And of course, Lazarus' ability, if people remember, his Nen Beast creates the desire of the person. Basically, it creates an illusion, and then it ensnares them in this illusion. And of course,
it poisons
how people take drugs. Of course, you know how people take drugs.
It poisons your mind based on your innate desires, and then eventually starts corrupting you.
It gives you the sense of elation. Gives you this feeling of euphoria. You feel more energetic than before, but in reality, it's taken a toll on you physically and mentally. She's basically addicted.
Yeah.
And people were saying, "Oh, this is a retcon by Togashi," because they say that princes can't attack, Nen Beasts can't attack princes directly. But here's the thing:
Crack,
That ability was
Crack addict
Yeah.
Fugetsu is crazy.
Yeah. Crackhead Fugetsu, man. Yeah, and Lazarus's Nen Beast is indirect. You know, they even talk about Nasubi even talks about it in that same scene in chapter 363, where or 362, that indirect actions are necessary, not direct actions,
Because they're bad.
and that's what we're
obviously.
seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Which
'Cause you
also
gotta-
is a callback to like how King Nasubi won his position as king when he was a
Yeah.
participant of the
Yep. He
succession.
pretty much played the wait and see strategy. And then we get to see Fugetsu's resolve. And of course, this is tethered to the fact that Kacho always did everything for Fugetsu, always let her have everything that she wants. And Fugetsu basically wants to like be the one to help Kacho for once. And it's like this guilt that's like motivating her. Because, you know, she's going through complete despair. It's so fascinating, man. And it's like you feel bad for this girl.
We can't do anything because
Yeah, but you can't really do anything right now. And she's currently on like death's door. And of course, if you remember, if Fugetsu dies, then Kacho's the Nen Beast disappears.
We get a few panels of like the military escorting Melody.
Yeah, they do this and they set this up in order to like for Melody to see what's going on, what's plaguing Fugetsu, and then we see cursed spirits.
Yeah,
And crazy because this is like I think the first time in the whole series we've even got to see like the paranormal. You know, we never got that. This is like something that Yu Yu Togashi would make. Yu Yu Hakusho Togashi. And we learned that her aura is weak. She's in Zetsu. She's mentally unstable, and that she's being plagued by these evil spirits. And then
it's not
they
like
try
she's
to narrow
not in
who it is.
Zetsu, but her aura is so weak that she might as well be in Zetsu. Like that's how faint
Yeah.
her aura is.
Yeah. Like, and then okay, Grin's glaze.
My goat. It is what it is.
Bro,
Jiang Li, the
I
third prince.
remember when.
I
I remember when we first.
Bruh, this
read
panel
400.
had me spinning. I was like, why are you giving her a coin? Like, for what reason? Why?
Dude, we just see this guy randomly, and he personally pulls up because he's like that. He's that kind of guy, man. He's that guy where he's willing to talk to people on the phone. You know, he's prideful, but like he's got like humility in a sense, to where he's willingly able to like talk to people.
This man said, he's like, I don't think you'd be
The
here.
charisma this guy has is unreal.
Melody said, I don't think you'd be here, person. I want to show my respect. That your performance back was most impressive.
Mm-hmm.
I have two requests. I'd like to hear it again, and I'd like you to take this as proof of my respect. Will you accept this gift from the visitor? Yes, of course. It's something I made. Bro, this panel had me gassed. I was like, bro, why would you give Melody a coin of all people? That's so random. I'm like, what was he thinking? Why? Just simply?
That's like the funny thing with you, man. It's like we never expected to see this guy, and the first thing we see him do is give a coin, and it's like this guy's actions make no sense. He's so unpredictable.
Unless for whatever reason, Jiang Li is just like, okay, yeah, I'm not thinking about this too much. I'm just handing you a coin as a token of my appreciation. Yeah. Have it, good job. Have pat on your back, or like, ooh. Yeah. But I can't believe that. I can't believe that.
Because Jiang Li believes that the coins aren't going to do much if he holds on to them, so he's willing to disperse them. But he himself doesn't know what the coins do. But this is 100% going to be important later on, because Togashi has been setting up these coins, and we learn more about them.
Yeah,
Kurapika has a coin. Melody has a coin. Like, these have to be more later on in the end game of the arc.
Hope and Topa has one too.
So what they do.
right?
But yeah, this is like a crazy Shang Li moment, man.
Kobentoga
Like
has
he
one
pulls
too,
up and
right?
does some crazy Jordan stuff.
I think
What's
so.
up, man?
Kobentoga has a coin too, right? It's like 2 weeks.
Tobin Toba, yeah, that bum has been having a coin in his pocket for weeks. Dude's been sitting on the land. Yeah.
Van Tyne represented for the fourth prince.
Yep.
And
we finally got a name to this guy. And of course, this ties back to 385, 387, where said he wanted to meet Melody.
Are you unwilling to play again? Personally, if I'm asked, I'm gonna be happy to play anywhere under that circumstance. That's good to hear. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, and she narrows down that the third and the fourth prince aren't behind this. Of course, we know the context behind Van Tyne meeting the fourth prince, Van Tyne meeting Melody on behalf of the fourth prince, and they're not behind any assassination plot or like any like scheme.
I like the subtle gravitas under the unwilling in that in that text bubble where he's like, "Are you unwilling to play again?" It's like unwilling is bold. It's like it's almost like it's a threat without outright being a threat.
Yeah. And then this is the final page.
Yep, Kaiser planning everything.
Yep. He's so dangerous, man. Like that's what's so interesting about him. He's their only ally. But at the same time, it's like it's dangerous to also get close to him. Yep. And then they talk about Kurapika.
Yep.
Telling him everything. And of course, this ends up leading into the letters and giving him all the information that Kurapika learns at the end of 401.
Yep.
And then we get the continuation of the Nen classes. And this is where we like leave off until 2024 where we see the continuation of this. And we see the beginning of this conversation and then the very end where Lonky explains she doesn't need divination, she can use Nen already. Will you agree to the contract? We know what that contract is. And now Kurapika has officially collaborated with the fifth prince, Tubepa. And this ties into Tubepa's Nen Beast, which is it requiring a partner, and it creates drugs.
And that's basically 400. Now we go to 401.
Yeah. Yep. Because we refreshed our mind, because, again, so much of 401 in this batch is tethered into 400 because it leads up into it. So we have to pretty much talk about it.
Bro, first and foremost.
And of course,
that Morena cover page, the volume whoo, boy.
Goated.
That is so
goated. I thought
I didn't
Togashi just has blue, because
I didn't know Morena has blue hair. I don't know if that's just with
Togashi, yeah, because with Togashi it's random because the color the hair color just changes. Because in one volume he draws like different hair colors for characters.
It's also
just
funny.
Changes. There's no definitive one color.
Yeah, Morena looks really cool hair.
It just depends on its mood. Yeah. What's up, man?
Morena's like the wreath around her head, like the
crown of thorns.
Crown of thorns, yeah.
Biblical symbolism.
Yeah.
Yep.
As well as the you can see the earrings around her ears, yeah. The design's really cool.
Go-to design, probably one of the best designs Togashi's ever done. And when I saw this, I was like, Togashi just wanted to draw Morena, man. He just likes the character.
We like Morena.
Gives him Mukuro vibes from Yu Yu Hakusho because he likes that's one of his two favorite characters besides Itsuki. And I didn't think we'd ever see her, but we eventually do get to see her in this batch, and she gets elevated as a character.
Morena's good. Anyway, okay, so we start the chapter with I guess a time jump. Tuesday?
Yeah. Right? No.
It's just a continuation. You just get awareness
so
of
we
the time.
Go back in time. Yeah. So we go back in time in the beginning of that. Yeah. Beginning of the Nen class, this Nen class before Lonky. So now we actually get a timestamp of where we are, but of course we don't know. But of course, we don't know how much time passed in the previous batch because Togashi was pretty subtle with it. He purposefully didn't leave that until like now, and then we slowly build up to what happened in 400.
So you see the Nen classes going on. Longy pulls up.
Mm-hmm.
There's one guy is thinking about like the secret Nen user, how she handled this. Furiko,
yeah, because he thought that she was the Sama majority user. Of course, that's not the case. Longy walks in, and Kurapika and Bill also didn't know that she was a Nen user. They were planning on like telling her the same thing about how they want to stalemate.
Now we go back to that conversation. I don't need divination; can use Nen already. But just so you know, those snakes weren't mine. I'd like to prove that and explain why I'm here. Yeah.
Yep. And people also try to slander my goat by basically saying that this was flawed writing, or that this was flawed writing by Togashi. That Kurapika should have immediately got the dowsing chains out to basically prove that what she said here was telling the truth. But here's the thing. And a couple pages later, she talks about her ability first. And then Kurapika busts out the dowsing chain to basically show if she's lying or not. And then she explains here, my ability requires me to explain the whole truth first, which is pretty much indicative that everything before in these previous pages is the truth. Because she outright explains the ability.
Because if you go up, right, where she's like, what's it called? Moonlight something? Was it Moonlight?
Yeah, Moonlight out. Yeah. Transparent words, Moonlight out.
Yeah. Conditional manipulative ability. Signing a contract to restrict their conditions. Voluntary signature required. Please hold your out. Want my signature. Yeah. She mentioned she's an alliance with Tupepa. And she says that Tupepa doesn't know about the ability.
Yeah. This is all before that. Her saying that this requires the whole truth while in the presence of the dowsing chain is pretty much like the presupposition that everything before him pulling out the chains was also the truth. Because
also, if you think about it, we know about Nen contracts and stuff from way before this arc started, where the more severe or if your Nen contract has a weakness or a vulnerability, that means the actual ability of yours becomes that much stronger. With Nen contracts, it's the same thing with Kurapika. When he made his chains, wasn't it if it was such a dire condition that you impose on yourself, the stronger the ability actually becomes when you want to use it.
Ability, yeah.
So the fact that she has to tell the whole truth first means that,
and it's a voluntary signature.
Technically, it can be it's voluntary, and technically it can be exploited.
Mm-hmm.
But that also means that her ability makes it even that much stronger because they. And we learned it's kind of like the I go to this, but it's kind of like the one thing from what's it called I don't remember. Is it JJK where Gojo has to explain his all the information or something to the other person in their mind for him to use.
Genther is Genther from Great Island as well, Grin, because remember, he has to explain his ability to activate countdown, and that's the ticking time bomb that he places on the body, and that makes the ability more powerful. On top of that, it requires 3 people to activate the switch, and so it's basically this collaborative ability as well. We've seen this sort of stuff, many times, but it was never truly explained until this arc, where we got definitive terms of what these things were. And we learned her ability is not solid. She's not the solid majority user. I believe this. I theorized this. Because there was no way Togashi would just end this, continue the subplot like that. That person's still on my A, still hasn't made a move. And also, I don't know what Togashi was eating, man. But his artwork in this batch dog walks anything that he's drawn in the previous batch. And that previous batch was godly. But man, you can tell that this man was in his prime because he drew some of the most goated stuff I've seen.
The line and sketching on Longy's jacket's pretty good.
Yeah, the shading,
you can see where the creases and the folds are on the jacket, despite all of it being kind of one stroke.
Yeah. Of course, we learn about her ability,
Contract.
voluntary. It basically tells you like
This is so cool because okay, her ability has two weaknesses. The person
Mhm.
has to note the entire truth, and they have to voluntarily sign it. If either one is met, she can't use her ability. Meaning a
Yep.
person doesn't, like, even after they find the truth, they don't necessarily need to sign the contract and agree with her.
Mhm.
And she can't force
Yeah,
them,
it's
which would invalidate the contract.
yeah. And but the pros to it is that if the person signs it and fulfills the condition successfully, they get a one-time use of the ability.
Yeah.
Well, she's able to grant that condition because she's able to make the contract however, and she specifically wanted to give Kurapika more power because of her true plan compared to the OG plan.
Yep. This contract is
So,
insurance to
yep,
guarantee the
and if
true
you
plan
fail,
goes
you're
smoothly.
forced
Yep.
to belong. That's it.
Yep. And like this is where he pulls out the dowsing chain because he's like, bro, this seems like
Yep.
yeah, threat more of a waste of time. Can't kill and then use your 22. True. All I want is to form a contract with you, Prince. I would only need to tell you the details of the contract itself, but for my true plan, I want to grant you an additional power with my ability.
Yep.
In order to do that, I have to explain everything. Yep.
Dude, the build up to this moment.
Like,
Actually, just does this in the first chapter. What's the true plan? Ask her, what's the true plan?
The Lord.
And then she,
oh my God, bro!
this
This
was
panel
crazy, man.
what a Lord drop,
Dude. This panel, I am beyond Netero's daughter, or beyond Netero's or biological daughter. The panel where one of the princes is Beyond's kids, I think, or I believe is one of the princes is Beyond's children. And then the final page where we see the panel of my ghost chilling, like Ishoko Asahara from Om Shinrikyo. Like, dude, those three there are days randomly at work or when I'm driving the car or when I'm just chilling.
Just
I think about these moments, this chapter. I still get goosebumps. Man. This is like one of the most generational chapters I've ever seen. And Togashi just starts off a story like this, the batch, after like
Bruh,
2 years of being gone.
Me and her were like, bro, there's no way we get like any gang comparison beyond anything, right?
Yeah.
And then the first chapter comes out, and you get a bombshell reveal, and you're like, what?
Bombshell.
What do you mean?
It's one of the craziest reveals, man. Like, and it was so hype, so godly and hype. And it gets crazier because as we continue, we learn that she's not the only one. This man, 30 years ago, has been spreading his seed in cocking women, and he's just been playing the Game of Thrones. That he has a stake in the game. He has 10 plus kids.
He's been trying to take over the cocking dynasty.
Yeah, from the shadows for over 30 years.
And had a plan set in motion from 30 years ago, which and this like,
coincides with when 30 years ago when we learned in chapter 340. 30 years ago, cocking had the silent revolutionary war, or the most silent revolution in history, where they went from the quote unquote the monarchy to parliamentary democracy.
Yep.
So Beyond was making moves back then. Probably is tied to what happened there.
Yeah, it's probably tied to the silent revolution directly with the parliamentary monarchy. Parliamentary. Yeah.
And of course,
democracy.
This just shows like how Beyond was on that Eisen time, because Beyond doing that technically made cocking a new country. Therefore, they didn't have to renew the treaty with the V5 in order to like basically say we're not going to go to DC for any purpose whatsoever. And this basically made them bypass the treaty. So Beyond out here was out like killing multiple birds with one stone. This guy was slowly ingratiating himself in slowly gaining influence, spreading his seed in the kingdom, putting his heirs, putting his offsprings into positions of power behind with the royalty, and putting in the military academy.
This is such a mirror, like what Beyond's doing with like his children being thrown into the military academy. is like such a
Yeah.
mirror to what happened to like in the later half of the last volume with like the Carnival Lavara and the Flesh and like the
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
like the other stuff with the festival and Morena's like gang. They're kind of opposites to each other of the same coin. They both really didn't have a
Mhm.
choice. In Beyond's kids, like they were just raised as military agents trying to protect Princess.
Disposable pawns. Yeah.
Disposable bonds, yeah.
Yeah, and that's like a big theme of this arc, like, family, love, like a lot of that is so fascinating, man.
It's more of like a. It's more of like what do you call it? Like a predestined like a predestined fate or like a
Mhm. It's
okay like
oh,
you like a child is just like a lack of freedom rather is the theme.
yeah,
There's no freedom in this arc. It's more like you're predestined to like do something like like a child is born to get to said position and live this kind of life rather than the
yeah,
child or person getting
as a
kind of getting
tool,
to do whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
as a
like a
tool for
tool.
someone's like, own ambition. Yeah, and it's interesting because not only did this man finesse the V5, this man Beyond also finessed the Hunter Association because they're also attached to the plan. This man Beyond is like one of the most generational thinkers of our time. The scheming of this man is on next level. And what's also rare, because we rarely ever get this with Togashi and Hunter, we rarely ever get timeline lore. Grin, when was the last time we ever got timeline lore in Hunter x Hunter? Period. Besides like the Phantom Troop flashback and like the stuff with like DC, where like back in Volume 33, because we never get definitive timelines of like, okay, this happened like at this time in here. We know this happened 30 years ago, and it's fascinating, man, because we know Beyond's evil, but what does this mean with his dynamic with Isaac? His father Netero, and of course there's the bastard child Seri, and how Seri has like now these parallels and dynamics with Netero and Beyond because of like the Buddhist symbolism and the Christian symbolism.
This is a very good like example of like people kind of like uh marrying into families to achieve their own ambitions rather than actually
Yeah,
raising a family and stuff. And so it's definitely more politically driven. That's what this entire arc is about.
yeah,
Both families and um, relationships and stuff is very politically driven. It's about
yeah. There's a
ambition,
lot of stuff,
greed.
man, in this arc.
Yeah,
There's like the themes of classism, the themes of power, how power can corrupt. There's like so much. There's a lot of Moby Dick allegory, and of course, Moby Dick is one of the greatest novels of all time. And there's so many because if you remember, Grant, Moby Dick, these guys are on a ship.
yeah.
They're on
Black,
the ship called the
Black Whale.
with Ahab and the Pequod in order
Yeah,
to go kill Moby
yeah,
Dick the whale, and
yeah.
they're basically on this conquest of revenge, legitimately throwing their lives on the line, suicide mission. And that story, Moby Dick, is an allegory to industrial America and how industrial America was also farming like whale oil for profit.
Yeah.
And guess what? The whole point of the black whale, they're on a black whale, and they're trying to go for DC for colonization, for pure greed and profit. And an interesting thing about the Pequod is that everyone on that ship is distinct. They're all from distinct cultures and races and ethnic groups, which is basically meant to be a mirror of America. That's what this ship is, because there's so many people of different cultures in this ship. Like, there's a lot of allegories, but yeah, there's a lot of themes when it comes to this art. And of course, we learned that he did this every time a prince was born. So the number is over 10. And then Long Key explains that they had Nen since they were born, that they went through, that most of them have probably achieved this goal of becoming. Longhi isn't aware of like most of her siblings. And then she only learned about this prior to the succession war starting. That she learned that she didn't inherit a trait that she should have from her father. And she's most likely referring to her foster father. And then after that, she found out about her role, her brothers and sisters. And and then she surmised what like Beyond's goal is. Yep. She's told the truth about who her real father is. We learned that the other siblings don't. The other kids most likely Salkov as well, since we learned that he knew Nenson's Master Zetsu at birth. That he doesn't. That these guys don't know the information. So long he's the only one that's privy to any of this. And even though that she knew about them, it didn't really affect anything because she just saw herself as someone with unique family circumstances. And then we get more Kakin's bit about Kakin's their philosophy and how their goal, because they're like sort of like a communist fascist country where they want to espouse their philosophy and their doctrine across the rest of the world, and for the eventual goal of unifying the world under Kakin rule. And that's also what Beyond's goal is, since we know this guy wants to conquer. He wants to conquer Kakin from the shadows. And then he wants to, like, spread the rest of his control over the rest of the world. We don't know why he wants to do this. And then we get some Nen lore here.
Yeah.
That,
the children of Beyond were newborns that had Nen, like, since the minute they're born. You can instantly use 10 Nen Zetsu quickly to prevent fatigue. You get to see that she was like at the top of her class at the academy without really even trying. But we find out that actually was just a side effect of Beyond's Nen attack.
This is this is all. Yeah, that was because that's also another way. If people getting that's another way you're able to have your aura nodes opened. 1, the wing method. 2, the Karabika method where he loans abilities. Or 3, you get attacked. 4, you have a curse put on you. That doesn't physically like hurt you or anything.
Like a Nen curse that just carries over through generation. Yeah. A generational Nen curse is crazy to me. Like that's how much Nen, like how proficient and how evil do you have to be to put a Nen curse on newborn?
On a child, like just and there's no way that there weren't some children that just died in the process, like some babies that died in the process of this. And I do want to talk about this part, Grin, with the Nen, with the babies, because people like to say, I have debates with this man because I glaze Seti is the most talented human Nen user. I put him above Jing. I state that Gon and Killua are vastly inferior to Seti.
No, Gon and Killua are nowhere near on the level of anybody in this arc. I'm sorry, I love Gon and Killua like a lot. They're my favorite protagonists. Like they're my best. They're my boys. But I'm sorry, it's not a competition. They are nowhere near on the level of the people we are dealing with. Like they're children. These are adults. There's levels to this.
Yeah. So pretty much, they basically say that, the only reason why Seti's like better than them is because like he's an adult. Here's the thing. We learned in this panel that that's not the case. Babies are able to instinctively learn Ten and Zetsu. Yeah. You can't do that as an adult, bro.
Remember, let's
real life.
Think about this.
There's also real life thing. If you remember, kids are able to learn stuff because their brains are muscle. They can easily pick up languages.
Yeah. Remember what Wing said?
We've seen babies play chess. Like,
remember what Wing said back in Heaven's Arena, where he said, "Oh, your talent becomes like a 1 in 10,000." And then he looked at Gonkyu and said, "They're like a town that comes in like 1 in a million or one in like 10 million or something like that."
Yeah, yeah.
Children inherently have the capability of learning items. That's because their brain's still growing, right? They aren't stuck in like your brain hasn't fully developed to the point where you've been stuck in a way where you can't adapt anymore. That's why most as humans inherently, like the younger you are, the more quickly and more gifted you are to be able to learn new abilities.
Yeah.
It's
So
very hard to do that as an adult.
That Gon and Killua are only like below Seti because of no. We've seen Gon and Killua dog walk adults prior to the Succession War. Seti's just better than them because he's that guy. There is no age, there is no genetics. Seti's got has the Netero genetics.
We found out. We even found out in the what was it, volume 38 batch, where we got to learn about a little bit of a glimpse of Serenich as a child. He was him.
394, yeah.
He was him.
He was that guy. Broke military records at the age of 12 to. He just had the killer will, the killer instinct. He's basically the Michael Jordan of now, like the Michael Jeffrey Jordan. Like he's just that guy. And remember, Netero is not talented. He's not that guy.
That's not to say. That's not to say that Gon and Killua might not become stronger than Seti when they become adults. But as they are now, like, I'm sorry, just
no, they can't. They can't.
They're not.
They can't. Not even if they become adults, they can't because Seti's potential is unreal. This guy's peak and potential is legit unreal. We've never seen anything like it. And I'd say Gon is beneath Killua. And Gon has been heavily beneath Jin.
I'll say this.
Because if you remember, Jin, this man at the same age as Gon, was the only one to pass his Hunter exam.
I'm going to say this. Gon might be beneath Killua. But Gon's also, like, his lineage is the only one that lives on, like, one of his ancestors' lineage might be the only one that lives on the... Yeah. So, like, there's that going for him. So I don't really know.
Yeah,
he's got Don Freaks' blood in this way. So like,
yeah.
All I'm saying is like, yes, he might not be great at like, I guess Nen control or whatever, but like, he survived on the Dark Continent. Nobody else is doing that. Nobody else is doing a feat like that. So,
I mean, I bet my goat said he could do it. You know, that's the guy. That's the goat. He can beat Father Time if he wanted to. Like, the point I want to quickly make is that Netero is a character who became strong because of hard work. He was a guy who reached his physical peak at the age of 4, went to the mountains and performed the 10,000 punches of gratitude. And that's how he became that guy. He was never that guy because of some talent. Seti is vastly above him in terms of talent. And this guy had the same killer instinct and mentality that Seti had at the age in his 40s, that Seti was displaying at the age of 12 to 13, the gun rack. That's what he was doing at that age, bro.
Which is also something I want to talk about just in general with what makes Nen such a good power system. Like, Serenich is absurdly gifted. And just like life, there are going to be people who are absurdly gifted, who are way better than you. Like, it's just a fact. There are going to be people who are just way better than you in like something that you really want to do. And I'm sorry, but it's a fact. That's just how it is. But what makes Nen so good, or what makes Togashi so good, is the fact that even if there's somebody better than you, you can climb your way to the top through sheer hard work, which is what Netero did. Right? Like, you're going to have people who are both hardworking and talented, and those people are going to be goated, like, automatically, right? But just because they're goated doesn't mean you have to just stay there and do nothing. Which is what, we got to see, like, the perspective of someone who worked his way to the top with Netero. Now we get to see somebody who's just naturally kind of gifted and easily being able to get there. Oh, don't worry. He is working. He is also hardworking. Like, obviously, we've seen him. But it gives you perspective of, like, there are different kinds of people in the world. Some are more talented than others, but that doesn't mean you're screwed because you can't do anything. If you work hard enough, if you're like, yes, it'll still probably be an uphill battle finding somebody who's as talented as Serenich, but If you work hard enough, you might stand a chance. Like, who knows?
Yeah. I mean, I doubt it. We'll never see a man on that level of talent. This man has done some of the craziest feats.
Well, I'm not talking
He's
about
put world
talent. I'm
I'm
not talking about talent
Yeah, yeah.
necessarily, but like
Yeah.
I'm saying, like if you had to fight Serenich, right? You're definitely
Yeah.
going to lose if you give up. But at least if you work hard and try to get yourself to the top, you might stand a chance.
Mhm.
That's all I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
the world is unfair, and the arc is making a good
Yeah.
representation of how unfair the world is. It is what it is.
Grin, if you remember,
Mhm.
because of course you can even out the odds with proper planning,
Yeah.
conditions, vows, and we also learn in Chimera and where Bisky even gives Killua this chart where a person at D who's at the lower rank, who's at the lower scale, and could beat a person at A if A's at their worst day and D's at their best day. So there's a lot of these variables when it comes to Nen battles.
Like, but also,
So a
yeah.
jabroni can like potentially beat a top dog.
Yeah, okay, the odds of beating Serenich is very, very low. One, because of his ability, and also because he's really gifted and he's very hardworking.
Yeah.
But if he's caught lacking,
he's not a One Piece villain.
Yeah, but if
he's not a One Piece villain, he's not an idiot.
Yeah, but if he's caught lacking, like maybe there's one day where he's caught lacking, and like a super weak villain or super weak person is having a really good day because they're working hard, they've got everything planned out. Yeah, maybe he might beat him, but like the percentage odds of that is like very low. But it's not zero.
Yeah,
it's not like zero. It's not impossible. It's just very, 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 very low.
Yeah. The only way they beat this man is if Kurapika legit assembles the Avengers. He has the Zhang Li coin as he gets in. He later gets the Moonlight ability in the end of this chapter. He already has the Steel Chain, which allows him to. And then he's got his OG abilities. Like, dude, this man has to assemble the Avengers, and then he might need like a couple more peeps to even make my goat sweat.
He still can beat him. It's not like he can't beat him. He can. It's just gonna take a lot harder to beat somebody.
Yeah.
Like, nobody in the world of Hunter is unbeatable.
I'm confident. I'm confident, bro. I can't wait until the next chapters drop, man, because I'm gonna go hard on my Seti Glaze. Like, I need to see Seti dog walk Salkov, and then once that chapter, we're gonna make the title Seti baptizes Salkov. We're gonna make that because that's also another thing, man. I feel so bad for Netero. Like, I feel bad. I pray for the lucky stars that man rests in peace, because that man was born in an era of plumbers and. Had Seti been born in his era, Seti would have given him the fight of his life, and I'd say he'd beat him. I'd say he'd beat him as well. I also believe that Seti, at the age of 12 to 13, if he started off in the series at the same age as Gon and Killua, went with them in Heaven's Arena, fought Hisoka, I'd even wager that he'd perform way better than Gon, actually give Hisoka a fight, and Hisoka might actually have to try. But of course, he'd have to hold back because he doesn't want to kill the goat. The goat is too special.
Maybe not, because he didn't learn Nen until later, remember? So he probably wouldn't have been able to.
No. I'm talking if Seti start off in the series like theoretically, like if we rewrite the series, and Seti started off like in the series at the age of with Gon and Kill, and kind of went through the same journey as them and learned. And then he fought Hisoka. I talked about this in my 5-hour video. It was funny as hell. But anyway, we yapped on for too long about that.
There's a
but yeah,
bro, the next panel is like, oh, so good.
Yeah.
Okay, go
up.
The
bottom panel right here.
Where does he say? Front of half sister Makaha became parents.
Yeah.
Assigned to Camilla, graduated class, lots of places. Camilla elevated have-nots. Among them, she felt something disappointment. Discovered means or something. Yeah. Yeah, here, whereas after the ceremony was noticed a mark in common between us, known to he showed it to the known exorcist and discovered the truth. Maybe the exorcist is the same as the one Crollo went to. Maybe it's a different
And the
one.
Japan, yeah, in the Japanese translation, they taught it was apparently the translation was a strong Nen user or like a
Oh,
Nen
okay.
user. Yeah. So the English translation like went with exorcist. But yeah, we get like another character. Of course, we're likely never going to see her in this arc. Maybe we do. Who knows? And this information ties back to chapter 380, where we learn about how the have-nots couldn't hold public military, like they couldn't hold military office, they couldn't hold a rank, and she essentially like installed them back in the system and made a private ward on her property, and pretty much gave all these other people the boot, and now they're her private or they're her
And she also,
private
we
army.
also get to see how her parents were so nonchalant and just like didn't give a fuck
Yeah,
at all.
yeah, they didn't care.
They were like, yeah, let's just go with Beyond's plan of unifying the world. Sure, who cares? It's
Mm-hmm.
fine if you have a curse. Like
Yeah,
bro, they had no empathy, no care, like
yeah.
nothing.
Pretty much learned that even if they failed or not, like getting into it, it didn't matter because like Beyond always has a plan. And then we learn about the curse, how this activates upon death, and this is, of course, we know this. Nen that stockpiles and accumulates
Over
for
time.
years
Yeah.
becomes more is like powerful because you're letting it stock up and build up. We've seen this with the Nen with the national treasures, and those are like centuries of stored Nen. And this is oh my god, the art is so peak, and we get this Resident Evil 2 reference.
Yep.
No, phenomenal. One of the best panels that this man has ever drawn.
This is horrific.
Yeah, and of course we've talked about this months of before, man. Even when the chapters were dropping about basically this Nen inscription.
Mm-hmm.
Even now in chapter 401 in 2024, when this chapter dropped, we're still learning more about this Nen inscription or the Nen encryptions, and we still know nothing about them. We still don't know anything about the divine scripts, and like there's still so much more to learn about Nen, and we're still using the application of this. We've seen this first in Heaven's Arena. We've seen this in the tape that Jin gave them at the beginning of in the beginning of York New when they listened to his recording. We saw this in Greed Island in the box. We saw this with Nov's ability to teleport dimensional, and now we see this here.
Yep, pretty much.
Yeah,
It
and
says, I was
it's
chosen to
kind of
curse
like an
my
amplifier.
target to death.
Yeah,
There are at least 10 of us who are strong, including me and Makaha. If there is as many or more weak ones who weren't selected, then Father also prepared a large number of pawns can be sure of the final count of princes.
mm-hmm. And this is interesting because Bill is affiliated with Beyond and Pariston because he's a hunter. He's working for them, because his real mission is the DC. So it's interesting on what's going to happen with Bill's character because he's been a character I've always been fascinated with, and I always see there's potential with him.
Bro, this panel of Glock no Pika is cool.
It's clean, man. Glock Pika, bro.
You're sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
And this is something that they explain that this is something you can't remove. You can't just burn it off. You can't even cut it off. And that their bodies were literally turned for this man's plan. Curse sacrifices. They don't know what kind of ability it is, or they don't know who the targets are as well. But they're undoubtedly aimed to make sure the targets are cursed to death. This is basically a superpowered version of the Kalkian have-nots ability, where they need to be in close proximity to do this, and they have to like focus their energy on cursing the target every single day. And they need like a photo, they need ashes, all that sort of, and they need.
This is not that case. This doesn't need any of that.
This doesn't need any of that, bro. It's way more powerful.
Make any moves after Makaha failed to join the clock. Don't know who your target is, but you're sure it's a prince. Yes. Circulation.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we get to do that.
Yeah, and this is where it's being built up. More than 10 strong curses and 14 princes can't be a coincidence. And it's basically her rationalizing and like explaining this. Yeah. And we learn that Beyond has a stake in the game. He's also playing the Game of Thrones. And then they talk about the power of the Nen curse. Kurapika believes it's the latter. That he's basically leaving it to fate, and basically as a condition that increases its power. On top of the fact that it's basically he's basically been stockholding the aura. On top of the fact that he can activate it and he knows how to activate it when.
I like how Loki says it's not Prince Benjamin.
Yeah.
She says, my father's well prepared and greedy with this much preparation time. It's inconceivable that he would make all this effort for someone unrelated to him. Then what?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, this godly panel, bro.
One of the princes is Beyond's child. That's what I think, but sorry.
Man, the level of motion this man Beyond had in it.
You think it's set in it, right?
It has to be. It has to be my goat, the chosen one. It has to be 4. The cocking Jesus.
Yeah.
Bro, like, and there's so many like similarities visually that this man had with Netero. Man, Beyond's motion was crazy. In a single chapter, this man went from like a background character to someone who's like a legitimate stake in the game, has so much influence and motion in the plot, and became so much more hype and interesting as a character. And this is a character that's been gone for years, since like the 2014 chapters. He's practically dead.
Must be born to Nasubi Kuro's wife. It's true that there's technically no mention of paternal lineage.
Nope.
But I mean,
this was set up back in 349. Nope, but I mean, it couldn't be. And then Slack and Hoshino knocks at the door.
The loophole for that is that of the princes is that they have to be born to the thing. They don't have to be born from him.
Yeah.
Born to means he has to like they have to be declared as a child of Nasubi, but that doesn't mean that the child came from Nasubi.
Yep. And people also believe that this is a retcon. That
it's not.
This is a retcon. The information in chapter 3.
The word specifically says they must be born to Nasubi, lawful wife, his wife, not him specifically. It's just to the wife of Nasubi.
Yeah, Fugashi set this up in the very same chapter, but they say that it has to be someone closely related to the dead, aka the grand ancestor of Kakin. But of course, that's the thing with Nen. If you truly and genuinely believe that you are a prince, it can essentially bypass us. Because that's just how Nen is, man. And of course, bro, I'm the only one who probably remembers these 2 characters' names. That's how I know I'm built different. People don't remember Sakata and Hoshino. And then, yeah, so these 2 guys right here, they affiliated with the 3rd prince. Yeah, then we see Furiko and Bobby Mina. He tells them to be patient. And Furiko's trying to like figure out what's going on. And he's completely confused. He walks back in, and then he explains the ability, explains the contract. Neither side will interfere nor attack either prince, queen, or. This will last until the next Sunday, basically the end of this week.
And automatically for another week, provided that a representative from the thing is present in the room.
Yeah, either her or Mauer.
My ability to activate secure term violates the term. The penalty will be a week before. So basically, if they violate the term, he's in Zetsu for a week.
Yeah, and people misunderstand this ability. There's a stupid moron in the Reddits, in the subreddit. Of course, Kanzai is basically the grand mascot of the subreddit because those guys don't understand the story. They don't read. They have no low-level reading comprehension. They talk about how
You calling him
He
out?
says,
You call Oh God! You calling the school out on stream? Crazy.
I don't care, bro. I don't care.
But what's he
I'm
saying?
calling that ball. I even blocked him because I have low patience. But basically, he's saying that he has this theory that Karapika figured it out and that Longhi is also affected by her ability. But I'm like, no, dude. Karapika is the only one that's affected by this ability because he's
the one making the contract. He's the one making the contract.
Yeah, he's the one making the contract. The one who could either gain this ability or be forced into Zetsu. We learn right here, the ability only activates if their side affects it, not her.
Yeah, it only activates if Kurapika's side
gains nothing.
Because Kurapika is the one writing the contract. Yeah,
she doesn't go into Zetsu. She doesn't gain any ability.
Yeah, it specifies right here.
Like
that, like,
the contract
the contract automatically renews every Sunday, right? As long as there's a representative from Tupepa in the room, 10-14. And it specifies here, my ability will only activate if your side, referring to
your side, not either side, but your side.
Yeah, which is Kurapika's side of the thing violates the treaty, and the penalty is 4 sets for a week.
Yeah, and such a crazy, gross misinterpretation and misreading of this, where he completely misread this. Like, oh, I feel something slightly different from before on Kurapika's aura, but it's so faint. I can't tell if it's a change in himself or Longhi's Nen. We know because he accepted this contract, which Nen's at the end of 400, he now basically has. It's basically affecting him only. There is no change with Longhi.
The subtle go down to that
page.
Yeah, right here, where it says, I feel something slightly different from before in Kurapika's aura, but it's so faint that I can't tell if it's just a subtle change in himself or that's what's his name trying to figure out what happened. Furuko trying to read Kurapika's aura, and he won't understand this because that subtle change is the Longhi's Nen contract taking effect into Kurapika's aura. Which honestly he's bound by the Nen contract. It's not making too much of a difference because it like you said, it's subtle, so faint, right? So it doesn't make too much of a difference. It's not anything obvious, and it will be obvious if he violates the terms. In which case, he's forced into Zetsu.
Yeah, and then there's the theory that the prince could be Wobble. No, dude, no. It has to be my goat. There's too many clues. There's too much foreshadowing to it. But that's pretty much the terms of her ability. And of course, this could have very strong applications for later on, where he could potentially use this against Kroll when they do meet, because that's so much closer to happening than ever before. Because he's on his way to tier 1. Because he's trying to meet someone, and that,
like how
of course,
Longhi also specifies where he's like the definition attack is like vague. Healing and other actions could be counted as an attack, and then she's like, but then so would my ability. Then so would my ability itself. We won't unilaterally terminate the contract so long as we don't uncover a malicious act perpetrated by your side against us. Meaning they're not going to try and hold them just because.
Yep. And I would never arbitrarily ascribe malicious intent to your actions.
My initial stipulation is to identify Beyond's child before either Tupepa withdraws or only 2 princes remain. If it turns out the criteria set are not applicable to any of the princes, the conditions will be met in your favor and my ability will immediately activate. Yeah, so either way, this is so many W's for Kurapika because he says if the conditions don't work, don't worry, you won't get screwed over. You'll still get your reward. My ability activates, you get your reward. Boom, done.
Yep. And you get to have a one-time use of this ability. And she explains that if it expires at the same time Prince Tupepa decides to cancel the truce, but if she's willing to continue the investigation for her, she promised to write a separate man contract for the both of them and compensate him in the same manner.
And
then she
the one time use is so powerful because the ability to just force somebody into a week's worth of forced zetsu is absurd.
Yeah. And granted, the weakness is the fact that it's voluntary. The person could just outright refuse. But here's the thing: if you haven't used the ability, you can still hold on to it because you haven't fully activated. You haven't got to fully go through with the procedure.
Because you need to finish two conditions activated, right? Both the truth and the contract.
Yeah. Yeah. They have to sign it, and you have to tell the truth. And of course, he surmises that she hasn't lied. People speculate that Longhi was being manipulated, or she's not aware. I believe she's telling the truth because she spilled so much of the beans. And then we get even more about what her true plan is. And that's if one of the kids is the prince's,
she's going to try to kill him.
She wants to kill him. Yeah, she wants to kill him herself. And we learn really great characterization that if her dad had told her everything, even if her role had been the same, she would never have done this. And that's all it boils down to. Love, connection, feeling wanted, feeling like being trusted, but beyond never cared about any of this kid like that.
He's got ambition. He's got ambition, and he'll do anything he takes to fulfill his political agenda, including marrying how many ever.
And what's so fascinating about this man is the fact that this prince, who's this bastard child, isn't even aware of any of this happening. He's just trying to fight. He's just trying to fight for the throne currently, and he's essentially being damned by his step-sibling for something that he had no control of. Wasn't even aware of this.
It's very tragic. I'm pretty sure Longhi doesn't want to do it either, but she has to.
Yeah, she has to. Because they're the reason why their lives are like this. That they're pretty much just doomed from the jump. And then they finally open the door. They're done. And Fury Cop is just bamboozled. He's just trying to what's happening. And we talked about this. He's trying to figure it out, but he's completely stumped on what's going on.
This man's lost. He has no idea.
Yeah. And this is a character who's came into the arc extremely confident, but he's completely. It's tough for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And then he decides to get Temptorian.
Yeah.
In order to, yeah.
He says, I could expose the conspiracy and demand a suspension of class or disclosure of arbitration, but I have little evidence I won't be able to take them to trial, and we'll just end up strengthening this or that. Yeah.
Yep.
He says basically if I try to do anything crazy now, they'll just unify together, and then I'll be left out as a bad guy. So there's no point.
Yeah. Yeah. He's legitimately stumped, and there's something really interesting. Bobby Mina. This is a character that has so much motion. One of the more succinct characters in the arc. We don't know what his deal is. He's loyal to the Prince Benjamin. But he's done things that have been contrary to the mission. Like him releasing his end out of respect for Oito. Him putting his hands off the steering wheel, letting. And we don't know why.
Yeah.
He's very fascinating. People speculate that he's a kid of Beyond, but maybe. I don't think so. But maybe.
Oh, man.
And then we see the ghost. This panel.
Yep. You see where you see Beyond in the prison cell, kinda, I guess, in holding. Says, can you get me a new book? They're urging you to read it again or write your own novel. Good idea. Give me a pen and paper. No, for security reasons. You got your beard and you're all dead. Bruh. Security reasons. If I wanted to, I could knock your head off with this book. God, it's super scared. Got any other requests? Don't hold back. You're a funny one. There's somebody I'd like to talk to and can you arrange me? And then we don't know who it is. We don't get it.
Yeah. We know we don't go back to the subplot ever, and we might potentially see this guy in the next batch or in chapter 421. Like, bro, like what an insane way to weave this character back into the story after him being absent for years. And this is a character who basically set so much of the arc in motion. And that this character is more important than ever. And not only that, and he's like super hype. And it's like, what's this guy scheming? Like, I still don't know who he wants to speak to. This is like one of the more currently so far right now, possibly top 3 or top 5 most hyped subplots. And there's like a bunch of hyped subplots right now.
I mean, for me,
Like,
personally,
Mission Impossible Prolo one.
yeah, Mission Impossible Corolla is top one for me. I'm sorry. Yeah. All the bias in the world included. Like, I'm not even hiding it. Yeah. Mission Impossible Corolla is, you know, your mission, should you accept it, head ass. Like,
yeah. Bro.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was chapter 401.
We'll do
Godly chapter to get back to, man.
We'll cover
Phenomenal
chapter next week. You
want to give your quick thoughts on the chapter?
Yeah. Man, to come back to, okay, this arc did, this chapter did 3 things. First, no, it did a bunch of things. First, it gave us the reveal that Beyond has kids, so it gave us mindset into Beyond's ambition and political agenda.
We learn more about the guy.
It characterized so it gave us a mindset into Beyond's ambition and his political agenda. It did the second thing it characterizes and humanized Longhi as a character. I'll be honest, I really didn't care prior to this chapter about her, like, at all. I'll be completely honest. It really gave more Nen lore, which expands on the whole Nen system. It gave us the fact of how deadly Nen curses are, and they can go on. It gave us
Nen encryptions, yeah.
Nen encryptions. It gave us I got
some timeline.
Timeline. It gave us information on basically the deal between Tupepa and Kurapika, and what that entails, how much that influences the whole thing.
Yeah, this chapter does so much, man.
We get to see what, this man Beyond actually is doing in the background. Like, there's a lot in this chapter.
And it makes the arc so much more interesting. Because now we know that one of the princes is a bastard child. And that makes the drama, like the human drama of like this battle for the throne so much more interesting and hype. Because of what could lead out of that. And what are the implications with it? Especially because we believe it's Eddie. And what does that mean for the character? Considering his dynamic with Hulkenberg. And how Hulkenberg was him and Seti were the only ones who truly like connected each other.
I don't know how, what Longhi's gonna do, how she's gonna kill Saturnish. What is her deal? Because her contract, her ability requires telling the truth and handling the contract. So, the only way she could stand a chance is if she tells Saturnish the whole deal and then makes him sign the contract. And then he agrees to fulfilling the condition of entertaining her in filling this game, which is giving her a fair shot in trying to kill him, which I guess would be entertaining for him because he believes he could. I don't doubt it.
I doubt it.
I don't think beating him, but Could you not see a scenario where Serenich looks at
No, no,
her
no.
and thinks it's funny?
I mean, like, with what's going on in the arc, I doubt these two would even ever meet. Because there's so many, like, variables, man. Too much chaos. You know? Like, remember, Togashi is the same guy who had Gon and Medium never exchange a word. Like, it's hard to predict this guy. For all we know, like, Kurapika has yet to even meet Seti. And he's just right down the hall.
Yeah.
And that's in Goldust chapter 343.
Yep. And that whole Serenich and Kurapika, like, he still needs to see Pyro's eyes.
He still needs to meet him ahead of Pyro. He's still trying to negotiate for the eyes.
All the best stuff is yet to come, man. Like,
yeah, bro, this chapter has so much motion, man. Like, so much setup, so much intrigue. And like spice up the arc even more than it already was.
But it's it is a hell of a good opening, like, for this volume. Like, it's so good.
And it's crazy. This chapter, I don't. This could be debatable, but in terms of like bombshells and lore, this could be like top 10 in the whole series, maybe top 5. It's that big and crazy. And this was only just the first chapter. It's like only Togashi could just come back casually with a chapter like this. And the fact is, because if you're starting off the batch like this, you can only just get better from there. Because with the remaining 9 chapters, because who knows what other greatness you get. And lo and behold, we would end up getting somehow even better chapters than this. Granted, every single chapter is godly for different reasons. But the fact is, man, like, he did it. I don't know how he did it, but he did it. Because, bro, the cocking lore that we got in this batch, in general, was crazy. Like 408, 406, a bit in 405. Man.
Yeah. It was too good, man. It was a really good opening for like a multitude of reasons. Because it really sets the tone of the kind of reveals we would end up getting later in the next couple of chapters. But like, the hype is, bro, I can't wait. I'm out here waiting for Togashi to drop more shit on his Twitter every single day.
Yeah. Bro, it's hype, man. Like, now that the GOAT is back, it's only a matter of time. Like, hopefully, by December, near the end of this year, or like perhaps like in the beginning of next year in January, we'll get the peak back, and hopefully we will try to live react chapter by chapter, even though it's going to be pure hell for me because I have to like upload the thing and like process it and all that nonsense.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think we're done.
Thank you all for watching. Come back. We will upload our thoughts for photo 2 next week. Till then, see you guys.